The movie kicks off with a nervous-looking businessman, clearly shaken, sitting in front of the camera. He's being recorded as he spills the beans about some shadowy and dangerous group. You can tell he's scared, like he knows he's playing with fire. After the interview, he walks out to his car in a parking garage. Just when you think he's safe, a Jeep comes out of nowhere and slams into his car. He tries to fight back, but there's not much he can do. His car gets shoved off the upper floor of the structure, crashing down and ending his life instantly. Cut to the main guy in the story, Will Gerard. He's an English teacher, a pretty normal guy, and he's out enjoying a dinner date with his wife, Laura. She's a musician, and they're out celebrating their anniversary. Things seem good between them. While they're eating, a news broadcast pops up on the TV about the businessman's mysterious death. They make a few comments about how messed up the city's become, but they're still trying to live their lives and have some fun. That same night, Will and Laura go dancing. They meet up with Will's good friend Jimmy, who also happens to be the principal at the school where Will teaches. Jimmy's there with his wife too. It's a sweet evening, filled with dancing and romance. Later, Will surprises Laura with a necklace, a thoughtful gift to mark their special day. The next day, Will and Jimmy stick to their usual routine and meet up for a chess match, which seems like a fun tradition they take seriously. Meanwhile, Laura finishes up with her orchestra rehearsal. She's walking back to her car alone when a man appears out of nowhere. He's armed, grabs her, throws her into a vehicle, and assaults her in a brutal and violent way. She tries to fight back, but he overpowers her. Not long after Will and Jimmy part ways, Will gets a message on his phone and immediately heads to the hospital. He finds Laura in a hospital bed, beaten badly and barely able to talk. The police are there too, working on a sketch based on what little Laura could tell them about her attacker. Jimmy shows up at the hospital with a woman named Trudy, both of them trying to comfort Will and offer their help. Jimmy is sure the police will handle it and reminds Will that he's there for him, no matter what. While Will is sitting in the waiting area by himself, a man in a suit walks over and introduces himself as Simon. He says he's been through the same thing and claims to know who attacked Laura, a repeat offender named Hodge. Then Simon makes a bold offer. He says he and his group can take care of the guy so that Laura won't have to suffer more by going through a long, painful trial. In return, Will might have to do something small for them later. At first, Will's not sure, but with his emotions running high and a desire for justice, he eventually agrees. To show he's on board, Will is told to buy 2 chocolate bars from a vending machine. It seems random, but it's just a way to signal that he's in. All of this happens while people he doesn't know seem to be watching. That same night, Hodge returns home looking smug. He even has Laura's necklace, like he's proud of what he did. But his celebration is cut short. A masked guy breaks in, points a gun at him, and after a brief struggle, shoots him dead. The next morning, Will gets a delivery from a man pretending to be from an insurance company. Inside the package is a photo of the now-dead Hodge and Laura's necklace. Will shows Laura, who's still healing, and she breaks down, relieved to know her attacker is no longer alive. They go back home, but Laura is clearly shaken. Her face is still bruised, and now she wants to change the locks and add bars to the windows. She's doing her best to heal, but admits it's really hard. Months go by, 6 to be exact. They're trying to get back to normal. Laura tells Will she wants to buy a gun to feel safe again, but Will doesn't like the idea of having weapons in the house. Even so, Laura secretly signs up for shooting lessons and starts carrying pepper spray. One evening, Will is hanging out at a bar when he gets a call from Simon, asking to meet. He tells Will to go to his shop, buy gum, and exit through the back. Will does it reluctantly. Simon is waiting in his car and hands Will an envelope. Inside is a task. He needs to drop a letter in a mailbox at the zoo at exactly 4:15 p.m. the next day. When Will gets to the zoo and opens the letter, there's a photo of a man with his family and a phone number. Simon calls again and tells Will to follow the man and use a secret phrase. The hungry rabbit jumps when it's time to act. Will tails the guy's wife and kids around the zoo, but never actually spots the man himself. The following day, Will is teaching at school when he notices the same phone number from the letter written on the chalkboard. Now he's freaked out. He calls Simon, who is already outside waiting for him. Will is upset about the invasion of privacy and says he's done, but Simon reminds him they had a deal and says this is just one more thing. Later, Will meets another stranger who gives him papers claiming the man he's been tracking is a criminal. When Will gets home, Simon calls again and tells him he needs to push this guy off a bridge. Will is horrified and says no, but Simon is firm. The next day, Will discovers someone slashed his tires. He takes the bus and ends up spotting the target again. They both get off at the bridge, and Will walks toward him. But when it comes time to do the deed, Will just can't go through with it and keeps walking. Simon shows up at Will's school again and tries to pressure him, but Will stands his ground and refuses. Later that evening, while Will and Laura are having dinner, Simon shows up out of nowhere pretending to be an old friend and co-worker. The tension is sky high. It's clear Simon can get close to them whenever he wants, which terrifies Will. After the creepy dinner, Will searches their home and sees magnets on the fridge spelling shoes. He pretends he's going to get something from the car and instead calls the number Simon gave him earlier. It turns out to be a funeral home. He leaves a message, warning Simon to stay away from Laura. When Will walks back inside, the front door is already open. Laura says she thought he had just stepped outside. Then she notices the word choose spelled out on the fridge again, which rattles her. The next morning, Will takes the bus again and ends up at the bridge. He spots the man from the photo and tries to talk to him. The guy freaks out and attacks Will, and in the struggle, he falls off the bridge and dies. Will is in shock. He bolts from the scene and jumps on a bus to get away. Back at home, Laura finds her necklace in the glove compartment of their car, and it raises more questions. Later, Will gets one final call from Simon. He calmly thanks Will for getting the job done and tells him their deal is officially over. Everything started going downhill for Will not long after. He was at school when he saw two students in the middle of a heated scuffle. Without thinking twice, he jumped in to break it up but ended up punching one of them. That rash move got him slapped with a 3-week suspension. At home, things didn't get any easier. Laura noticed something odd about the necklace Will had given her and started questioning him. Will dodged the questions, wouldn't say a word about it, and she left for rehearsal upset and confused. Not long after Laura left, 2 detectives knocked on the door. Before Will knew it, they had him in handcuffs and were hauling him in for murder. During the interrogation, Will kept saying he didn't hurt anyone, but the cops weren't buying it. They pulled up security footage that showed Will walking toward a bridge with a guy named Alan. They didn't have the actual moment of the fall, but it was clear something went down. Then, they showed Will a clip from Alan's phone. It was a video of Will tailing Alan's family at the zoo. Turns out, Alan wasn't just some random guy. He was an investigative journalist digging into something big, and now was caught right in the middle of it. Feeling trapped, Will asked to see a lawyer, but the cop brushed him off. The officer then said something strange. "The hungry rabbit jumps." Will repeated the phrase back without thinking, and suddenly the mood changed. The cop leaned in and warned him he needed to leave town right now. If he didn't, Simon would come for him. "You've got 10 seconds once I leave this room," the officer said. "Get out or you're dead. They'll make it look like suicide." While all this chaos was going down, Laura was trying to get in touch with Will, but the cops picked up instead. We used a payphone to call Trudy and also left a message for Laura, telling her he'd find her after rehearsal. The next day, Will went to school and dug into Alan's background. He eventually found the location of Alan's memorial. Later that evening, Will snuck into Laura's rehearsal and told her everything. She listened quietly, then told him she would have done the same thing for him. Before they could say much more, police started swarming the building. Laura handed Will some cash and a gun and told him to disappear for now. They couldn't trust anyone, not even the police. After escaping, Will made his way to Alan's memorial and managed to snatch Alan's ID badge. While there, he spoke with some of Alan's co-workers and learned that Alan had been investigating a secret group that went after criminals and took justice into their own hands, vigilante style. That's why he was targeted. One woman at the memorial recognized Will and quickly called Simon. Within minutes, 2 of Simon's guys showed up. Realizing things were about to get ugly, Will ran. He bolted across traffic and leapt over a fence, but dropped his phone in the process. One of Simon's men tried to follow but ended up getting hit by a passing car and dragged down the road. Meanwhile, Laura had her own trouble. She left the apartment and got into a car with a supposed detective who claimed he had proof to clear Will. But halfway through the ride, she sensed something was wrong. These guys weren't real cops. Thinking fast, she sprayed them with pepper spray and escaped. Back on the run, Will broke into Alan's office and took some documents. As he was leaving, he noticed a police cruiser nearby and ducked into a hotel to avoid getting spotted. There, he swiped a suit and a valet ticket, jumped into a car, and sped off. While driving, he watched a DVD from Alan's files. The footage showed the businessman from earlier in the movie. He was being interviewed and talking about the same vigilante group. Will also found a photo of Simon standing next to Jimmy, his best friend. That hit hard. The guy on the video was nervous and scared. He said Simon decided who lived and who didn't. At first, the group went after obvious bad guys, killers, rapists, pedophiles. But then things changed. Simon started targeting people who owed favors or made deals with them. The group was no longer just about justice. Simon had lost control. Fueled by rage, Will headed to Jimmy's place and confronted him at gunpoint. Jimmy confessed that he joined the group after his brother got killed. He also admitted that he was the one who had pulled strings to get Will out of the police station earlier. Will demanded to know Simon's real identity, and Jimmy gave it up. But Will didn't realize someone was watching. Later, a man mistook Will for a criminal and tried to shoot him. Will managed to wrestle the gun away and let the guy go. The guy revealed that he had also killed someone for the group, his sister's murderer. Before leaving, he said the code phrase again, "The hungry rabbit jumps." Will then called Simon and let him know that he knew his real name, Eugene Cook. He sent Simon the video interview and said he wanted the bridge footage in return. They agreed to meet at the Superdome during a monster truck event. At the same time, Jimmy visited Trudy and asked where Laura was. He claimed he wanted to help. He tracked Laura down, but before he could do anything, a group of armed men busted into the room where she was hiding. At the Dome, Simon got Will's message with the meeting details. When they met, Simon showed Will a photo of Laura tied up. Then he told Will to come with him. They drove to an abandoned shopping mall where Laura was being held captive by Jimmy and the others. Simon took the video from Will and gave the order, kill both Will and Laura. Will called Simon a psycho, trying to distract him. At that moment, Jimmy shot one of the guards and Will tackled another down an escalator. Laura managed to escape, but Simon chased her. Will jumped him, and they both tumbled down the escalator in a rough fight. Just as Simon was about to shoot Will, Laura appeared and shot Simon first, killing him. Soon after, the lieutenant from earlier showed up and surveyed the mess. He told Will and Laura that the official story would be Simon and Jimmy killed each other, and as far as anyone was concerned, they were never there. He even invited Will to join their group, but Will refused. Later on, Will was officially cleared when video evidence of his meeting with Alan surfaced. He visited Alan's old workplace and handed the interview footage to a journalist. As the journalist walked off with the DVD, he turned and said the same haunting phrase, "The hungry rabbit jumps." That's when it hit Will. This thing went way deeper than he thought. The organization wasn't dead. It was still out there. And now, they knew he knew.